This is SoulCharge, the podcast for women leaders to take the highest level of ownership of their power to create results now. I'm your host, Stacy B. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another SoulCharge episode. Today's episode is a power tool episode. And on this episode, we are talking about facts versus commentary. So here is the truth. The truth is that in your path of success and creating the life that you want, creating what you want is not the problem. Making decisions is not the problem. The problem lies in the resistance that has formed in your relationship to your power. And so this tool today is going to be super helpful in so many ways in your life, but I just want to remind you of that because I love energy and I love manifestation and I love quantum leaps and I'm going to get into all of that with you. But the work that I do with SoulCharge, the work with SoulCharge that matters for you is to know that creating what you want is not the problem. You know how to manifest. You know how to create. You don't know how to stop being your biggest critic. You don't know how to stop the war that's going on within you that's actually blocking the manifestation. You don't know how to stop. You are addicted to suffering. And that is what I am here to end with you. Enough. We are done with this path. So back to the power tool. So facts versus commentary. Whenever something is happening in your life, we could call that the facts. Commentary is the stories and the perceptions and the narration and what you are saying about what's happening in your life. So much pain and struggle stops the day that you can separate the two. So much stops the day that you can say, what are the facts and what story am I telling about the facts? There is an earlier episode in the Addiction to Awakening series where I go into the addiction of stories. But I wanted to record this quick little ditty so that you could take this with you in your daily life, easy peasy, without a 20-minute episode. So here's the exercise. If you are finding yourself in a situation where there is struggle, stress, frustration, anything negative, anything outside of love, bliss, excitement, intuition, I want you to ask yourself, what are the facts? And this question is great when you're when you are considering an opportunity, when you're considering a big move, whatever that might be that you're considering. This is a great question. What are the facts of the situation? And I like to grab a piece of paper and draw a T on the piece of paper. And on the left side, I write facts. And the right side, I write stories, right? What am I telling about myself about the situation? And so if I'm struggling with someone, the facts could be the topic that we're struggling about. Maybe we're not seeing eye to eye on a project. Maybe we're not seeing eye to eye on how something's supposed to unfold. Those are the facts. The stories is all of the thoughts and commentary that I am making up about the situation to justify myself, or a lot of times to protect myself from maybe what I'm afraid of. But separating out your facts and the stories about those facts allows you to come from a neutral place. And I feel like this is where we can get caught up the most, is that a lot of times in life, we are coming from what I like to call a charged place, right? I've told so many stories about the facts that I'm considering that I can't even see what the actual fact is anymore, right? And it's when we can separate this out that we can say, okay, the facts are XYZ. And if I remove the stories, what also removes from that is my emotion. What also removes from the facts is the distortion, the lies, the feelings around the facts. And what that allows you to do is to deal with what is true. So often we get so wrapped up in the story that the distraction, like we're so far away from solving or facing or dealing with what's actually happening because of the stories. The stories are what create stress. The stories are what create wrong perceptions, disconnection from the person and the situation, and it doesn't allow you to be empowered. So this is a major power tool in that when you can start to separate the two, you bring so much power back and energy back into your body, into your consciousness, where a few things happen. One, you'll feel energy return because you're able to see the facts as they are, see the stories as they are. The other thing that happens is your ability to be creative and resourceful also returns because you're not wrapped up in the struggle, in the story, in all the minutia. You're able to see from a neutral place, these are the facts and this is the story. The other thing that happens is in that ability to be resourceful is your capacity increases, right? So a lot of times I see women, they get so wrapped up in the story about things that it's limiting their capacity to grow, hold more opportunity, pursue bigger deals, pursue bigger opportunities, and to ultimately become the highest and best version of themselves. And so this power tool isn't just a quick little ditty to navigate things that happen in everyday life, but it's also you choosing to do things in a way that supports who you're stepping into and who you're becoming, and also ultimately raise your standard around what you tolerate. If you are committed to seeing the facts and not the story, a lot of times what can happen is you actually stop allowing the level of bullshit and drama with yourself on topics that don't deserve that level of care or time from you. If you choose to give, stories to facts consistently that aren't necessarily the caliber of problem or something that you should be solving at your level, what happens is you're constantly draining your energy on things that are well below your pay grade. So the facts and stories tool is not just about, personal relationships. It's also about calling yourself out to a higher standard of, are these facts that I find myself, contemplating and involved in on a day-to-day basis even worth my time? And that allows you to raise the standard by you separating the story from the fact and being able to deal with the fact and then increase your standard around not allowing yourself to deal with those types of things in the future. Are you loving SoulCharge? If so, hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and share an episode. We want to bring powerful content to women leaders each week so that women can be unleashed to create the results that they want now. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.